Alright, so I am going to go through our study guide. If you were in class, you have an actual copy of it. If you were not in class, I have either left you hard copies in the office, or I have posted this on our Teams page. So you should have access to this somehow, some way. Okay? So, starting with number 1. Write a verbal expression. So it says 10 plus n. So remember, when we're doing these, we don't really want to use the word plus. So I'm going to say the sum of 10 and n. You could also say 10 increased by n. You could say the sum of 10 and a number. Any of those three would be correct. All right, number 2. N divided by 2 is 18. So once again, remember, we don't want to use the word divided by. So I would say the quotient of n and 2 is 18. Or I could say half of n is 18. Either one would be correct. All right, next, number 3 says n decreased by 6 is less than 9. So n decreased by 6 would be n minus 6, and less than 9 would be less than 9. Use the less than sign. Number 4, 17 less than n is 35. So that would be n minus 17 equals 35. And number 5, the difference of w and 17 is 29. So since we know that 29 is the answer and it's positive, that tells me that 17 will come after the w's. We're finding the difference, which is subtract. So w minus 17 equals 29. All right, next we have number 6, and we are going to evaluate using the values that were given. So remember, anytime you have a number that is going to be squared or cubed or to any power, that number needs to go in parentheses, okay? So number 6, you would write it out as -4 squared and 4 squared divided by 4. Well, -4 squared, 2 negatives make a positive, which would be 16. 4 squared again would be 16. And then divided by 4. 16 times 16 is 256 divided by 4, which gives me an answer of 64. All right, next, number 7 says h minus j minus 5 divided by 5 plus h. So we will plug in -3 minus -9 minus 5 over 5 plus a -3. Now, we always want to simplify those parentheses first. So I'm going to bring down what I'm not using. So we have -9. 5 divided by 5 is a -1. We bring that negative down. 5 divided by 5 is 1. And remember, a negative has more power than a positive, so that would be -3. We keep going with our parentheses. We get -13. These two negatives make a positive. -3 plus 13 is a positive 10. All right, next. Number 8, we're going to evaluate each expression. So we have a -6 minus 4 squared plus 3. We bring down our -6 minus, well, 4 squared is 16. Bring down our 3. 16 plus 3 is 19. If we say -6 minus 19, we get a -25. On number 9, -4 plus -3 minus -10 divided by -10. So we're not using the -4 and -3, so I'm going to bring it down. I'm going to simplify -10 divided by -10 to get a +1. And then I'm left with -4 minus 3 minus 1, which gives me a -8. Number 10 and 11 and 12, we are classifying numbers. So remember, natural numbers are your counting numbers, so 1 all the way up. Whole numbers are natural numbers plus 0. Integers are whole numbers. They also include the negative number as well. Rational number is a number that stops or a number that repeats. Irrational is a crazy decimal. And real numbers are numbers that can be on a number line. Okay? And you have those notes. If you've been out, they're in one of our notes packets that you have been given or that you have completed. They're also on Teams. So, number 10. Negative square root of 4. Notice I didn't say the square root of -4. I said negative square root of 4. So I am going to bring my negative over. And the square root of 4 is 2. So -2 is an integer. It is rational. And it is real. And I'm going to write these over to the side so you have them. I'm outside making this video, so if you hear cars going by or little flies flying around, that's what that is. Okay. Number 11, 17 over 9. So 17 over 9 can be put on a number line, so we know it's going to be real. Now, it's not natural, it's not whole, it's not an integer, but it is rational because if you were to put 17 over 9 in your calculator, the decimal would be 1.888 repeating. Number 12 is -15. So remember, not natural because it's not a counting number. Not whole. It is rational. It is real. And it is an integer because it is a negative number. All right, now if we look at numbers 13 through 15. We are evaluating each expression. So the first one is 65 minus negative 99 minus 22 minus 39. Well, these two negatives make a positive. So then we have 65 plus 99 minus 22 minus 39. When we do all of that, we get 103. On number 14, we have 57 minus negative 57 plus 41 plus 6. These two negatives make a positive. When we add all of those terms up, we get an answer of 161. So number 14 would be 161. All right. Next, we have number 15. Number 15 says negative 77 minus 3 minus 35 plus 88. We don't have any two negatives beside each other, so we're not making anything positive. So it would just be negative 77 minus 3 minus 35 plus 8, and that would be a negative 27. And I'm sorry, that is 88. All right, on number 16, 17, and 18, we are just finding the product, which means to multiply. So we have, let's see, okay, 8 and negative 7 and 6. So this makes a negative 56 times a positive 6, which gives me negative 336. Number 17, we have 2 times negative 10, which is a negative 20, times that 8, which is a negative 160. Number 18, 7 times 9 is 63, and 63 times negative 7 is negative 441. All right, next on 19, 20, and 21, we are finding the quotient, which means to divide. So remember, when you have two negatives, they make a positive. So this would be 117 divided by 9, which is a 13. This would become 70 over 14, which would be 5. And 21 would be 165 over 15, which would be 11. All right, on 22, we have 8 times 7n minus 8 plus 7 times 3n minus 1. So here we distribute. So 8 times 7n is 56n. 8 times negative 8 is negative 64 plus 21n minus 7. We combine like terms and we get a 77n minus 71 for number 22. On number 23, a negative 6 times 6 is a negative 36. Negative 6 times negative 2x is a positive 12x. Negative 6x times 1 is a negative 6x. And a negative 6x times a 4x is a negative 24x squared. Now remember, when we get ready to write our answer, we always want to put our highest exponent first and work our way down. For number 24, we have 8 times negative x, which is negative 8x. 8 times 8 is 64. Negative 7 times 2x is negative 14x. And negative 7 times 7 is negative 49. When we combine like terms, we get negative 22x plus 15. All right, on the next section, this is from Agile Mind. So these questions will be about domain and range. So for number 1, it says, for which equation below is the domain? So you need to remember that, 1 second. Domain is the x. And we're looking from negative 3 to negative 1. So we're looking at a circle which starts at negative 3 and ends at negative 1. So if you look at B, it starts at negative 3 and ends at negative 1. On number 2, we are looking for the range, which is the y. So bottom to top, we're looking from where it starts at negative 3 and goes to negative 1. If you look at your circles, the only one it could be would be A, which starts right here at negative 3 and ends at negative 1. Number 3, what is the range? Once again, looking at the y. So what is the lowest point on this graph that you see? So I'm looking right here, which seems to be a negative 3. And the highest is a positive 3. But we also have a point here, which would be a 1, and a point here, which would be a positive 1 and a negative 1. So since we have 3 different points, we will have, or 4 different points, 4 different points, we will have 4 different range values, which would make my answer be B. All right, number 4, same thing. We're looking at the range. The lowest range I see is a negative 2. Then we go to a negative 1. We go to a 2. And then we go to a 3. So my answer here would be B. All right, now number 5, ask for the domain. All right, remember domain is the x, so we are looking for the point that's on the most left, so all the way over, and it looks to be negative 5. The next one would be a negative 4, a negative 2, and a negative 1. So my answer for number 5 would be B. All right, on number 6, we are looking again at the domain. So the domain starts at negative 3. I have one at negative 1. I have another one at 1. And another one at 3. Now, 2 answers that could not be it would be B and C. If you look at D, In order to use greater than, less than, greater than, equal to, or less than or equal to, there must be a line. Meaning those dots on this scatter plot are connected. When I erase my red lines, you'll see that these dots are not connected with a line. So D would not be it. My correct answer here would be A, because I have 4 different domain values. On number 7, it says a local gas station changes the price of gasoline once a week. Here's a graph of its gas prices in April. Which statement is supported by the data in this graph? So if we look over here at number 7, it says the price of gas increased each week. Well, that is a false statement because from here to here, it went down. On C, it says the gas price on May 11th will be $4.09. Well, we don't really know what it'll be because if you notice, the last thing we are given is May 4th, and we don't know how much it's going to increase or if it's going to decrease. So C would not be it. B, gas was most expensive the week of April 6th. Here's the week of April 6th. If you notice, it is the highest. You notice our price is increasing, which would make B correct. D, the average price in April was $4.05. So we would have to find the price each week and then divide by the number of weeks. So the most accurate answer here would be B. All right, number 8. Casey ran a 100-meter race in 13 seconds. Her distances at certain times during the race are shown at the table. What is the domain for the graph of the function that would model her race? Well, we know domain is X. So we can cross out B and D because it has a Y. Now, notice that her distance in meters is dependent upon the time. So, which would make my time the independent and my distance the dependent. I can't go the distance without the time. So I have to have the time first in order to go on these long distance runs. Okay? Alright, number 9. Gabriel is shipping a package of golf balls to his father for a birthday present. Each golf ball weighs 1.6 ounces, and the package he is shipping them in weighs 15 ounces. The function f of x, which you know means y, is 1.6x plus 15. In this function, what does the x represent? So just the x. Well, if we were looking for the total, that would be our y. So we know it can't be the total weight of packages and the balls. It cannot be the total weight, the number of golf balls in a package, or the number of golf balls that would weigh 15 ounces. So remember, 15 ounces is what we are going to pay to ship them, okay? So the correct answer here would be C. This is the same concept as the pizza problem that we did in class. Remember, we had to order so many pizzas at $8 and then pay a $5 tip. So this number 9 is the same concept as that. All right, number 10. At a delivery company, the cost for mailing a package depends on its weight according to the graph shown. What is the range? Remember, range is the y. So the lowest point on the range here seems to be 10, and the highest point seems to be 40. So the only one that includes 10 and 40 is D. All right, number 11. A linear function is used to determine the amount A of the fine for a speeding ticket. when a driver is going m miles per hour over the speed limit. The relationship is described in the graph shown. Which best describes the range of the linear function? So, remember, range is y. Go bottom to top, so we start at 50 and go to 350. Now, the only two that include 50 and 350 are D, but I want you to notice that these are backwards. However, if I flipped it around, it would be the same. All right, on number 12, it's kind of split, so you have to look at both sides. So we have a table and a scatter plot, shows the grades for 10 students on a recent test in relation to the time that each student spent studying. So we have minutes studying and the test grade. So our minutes studying is going to be our X, and our test grade is going to be our Y, which best describes the domain. So remember, domain is X. Now, this problem is almost tricky. So look at the scatter plot and look at the table. So since we have a scatter plot, then we don't have a line that connects those dots. So remember what I said on a few problems back. We cannot use a problem or use an answer that has greater than, less than, or greater than, or equal to, because our scatter plot is not connected. So A and C would not be it. The only one it could be would be letter B, because that is the domain. And if you look at the scatter plots, those are also the X points. All right. Number 13, a linear function is used to determine the amount A for the fine of the speeding ticket when a driver is going m miles per hour over the speed limit. Which best describes the domain? So now we're looking at the domain of this guy's speeding ticket. So remember, domain is X. The smallest one is, let's see, it's 5. And the biggest value is 40. So my answer would be B. And we are not doing number 14. So stop at number 13.